Have you ever wished you could have psychic powers? The ability to lift things with your mind, teleport places, read other people's thoughts. It'd have a lot of utility. You wouldn't have to try very hard and everything would fall in your lap, right? Well, that's what we're going to discuss this week. Welcome back to Brotaku Retrospective. This week we are covering Mob Psycho 100, Season 1. I'm Eddie Friels.
I'm Clinton Tossbaum.
So this one's done by Studio Bones.
Right.
They've got tons of great titles under their belt, so it's coming from top anime accolades.
Right.
For an easy reference, this is One Punch Man with psychic powers.
Basically is, yeah.
And it has an opener you should not skip.
Yeah, if the animation doesn't sell for you on the One Punch aspect, it has one heck of an intro song for this first season for sure. I mean...
Yes, for a song that you can tell was hired out for this project. They went way harder than they needed to. It comes in with like a Seinfeld on crack bass line, just boom. It's like, you have my attention.
Right.
And the whole visual display is like a neon light show. It is eye and ear candy galore.
It's sanity, but it just all falls into the right place and everything. It's cool.
You definitely get a good vibe for what you're about to be into out of the opening.
Honestly, yeah, it got me pretty pumped up to watch the show. Like, if the song doesn't get you pumped up, I don't know what will, to be honest.
I mean, it's on my running playlist. It'll get you there.
Right?
So,
Yeah.
starting this out, we got episode 1, the self-proclaimed psychic, Reagan, and Mob. So we are introduced to our main characters. We are following around a middle school student, Shigeo Mob, and he has psychic powers. And we start out, he's doing some job with his mentor,
Right.
Reagan Arataka, the world's greatest psychic. Asterisk, asterisk. Read the fine print.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So we start out with a couple in his office telling him, hey, we need an exorcist. This place is haunted by a cockroach ghost or something along that line.
Yeah, and I think, doesn't Reagan kind of, like, make fun of how they look? Like, in a way? Like, this show kind of doesn't...
Yeah. More often than not, Reagan is, like, commenting something more physical than anything. Our man is definitely a con man, but he is a top 10, if not top 5, period, anime character for me. This is...
real.
We've had a lot of characters like this in the shows we've discussed with the 100 speechcraft, but I feel like this is the first one we've talked about that has 100 speechcraft, is a sleazy rogue, but has the heart of gold at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, everything you watch with them, you're like, yeah, you're a con. But, like, at the end of the con, everybody's always better for the situation. So it's
Right.
like...
It's like, I gotta eat.
Right.
At the end of the day.
And so we go to this building and go to exorcise the ghost, and lo and behold, the ghost actually shows up. Reagan's like, oh, I was hoping...
Yeah, I didn't know you'd show up. Oh, fuck, this is awkward.
And so he gets out a cell phone and makes phone call, and screen flash to the other side, and we get Mob.
Yeah, that's right. I thought he used, didn't he try to purify with salt?
Yeah, he tries to purify it with salt, but Reagan's salt purification is just regular table salt.
It explains his moves and every time, and I love it.
And as with these kind of overpowered animes, like Reagan the whole way through is just like comic relief in this regard, and it just is. They keep it as a running punchline that nothing you're doing is actually doing anything. Even the ghost episode one's like, dude, this is just table salt.
You know
Like,
you're supposed to purify it, right? And Reagan's like, oh crap.
and so then he calls Mob. He's like, hey, Mob, I need you to come exorcise this ghost. So we flash over to Mob's point of view. Mob is a bland as bland could be high school student, or middle school student, rather.
Yes.
Every time we see him, he's basically in a school uniform. I think the only exceptions are when he's in his gym uniform.
Right.
So he's just always got that student vibe going. Nondescript, mushroom cut, vacant Saitama. Good.
He's a pretty average dude.
Yep.
Like, he's not even excelling in school from what I can remember.
Yeah. Kind of listless, doesn't seem to be, he just looks bored all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets the phone, he's like, all right, shows up. I'm like, Master, I wish you wouldn't
Right.
call me on such short notice, but here I am. Gets rid of the ghost. So that business finishes, but I feel like I have to go back real quick to describe Reagan. Reagan is like, I'd say probably average height looking adult. He seems, about the same height as any other dude, it seems to show from the adult perspective. He's always depicted in a gray three-piece suit with a pink tie. To further add to the delinquency aspect of him, he's got the solid blonde hair, which is Japan in the 90s had a delinquent problem, and apparently they all dyed their hair blonde. That's why in Dragon Ball, Chi-Chi freaks out when they go Super Saiyan. He's like, you're a delinquent. Yeah. So Reagan's got that same vibe. Like, everything about his demeanor, like we already said, con man. He looks the part, but man, that suit is nice.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
And so, after getting to witness Mob's power for the first time, we fast forward to a couple days later, a new job, and it's like, hey, Reagan's reading the newspaper, and it's like, there's this haunted tunnel out in the boonies that bad things keep happening to people that go in there.
Right.
And he's like, oh, that'll be a job. So he ends up finding a way to make money from it, and they go on the bus out to this tunnel.
Right.
And in the tunnel, they come across a gang of biker ghosts who slipped on a banana peel and crashed and burned, and now they haunt the tunnel forever because that is their turf. Biker gang. And so there's a scene of Mob and Reagan kind of fighting them, and Mob puts them down, so to speak.
Right.
And it gets down to like just the leader, and he's like, please don't do this, we're only doing it because the dude that actually rolls this place all the way back there told us to. And so Mob walks down the hall, finds a big bad, and
big
then
creature.
And it looks like a big bad creature. You're like, oh, Mob deals with some intense stuff. One Punch Man.
Yep. He gets chomped by it, and then like he just blows out of it.
Yeah, you just see all the...
In the most casual way ever, because he just doesn't do anything that's like choreographed or anything. He just stands there and his like Esper powers, and he just blows stuff up around him.
Right. Which is how I feel that kind of thing should be depicted, quite honestly.
Honestly, yeah. But there's the funny thing about this anime. Everybody else choreographs their moves, so except him.
They're like, it doesn't count unless it has a name. That's how finishing moves work. Mom's just like,
why would you announce what you're about to do?
So he takes care of that, and he finds, after he gets rid of the monster, a picture on the ground of the old bike gang.
Yeah.
And so he goes back down the hall. He asks the biker ghost, he's like, hey man, is this yours? Biker's like, oh my gosh, yes. Thank you so much for giving this back. And because you dealt with him, we can finally move on to the other side and aren't trapped here.
Biker heaven.
Yeah, and they all go to biker heaven. And so the episode ends with them walking out and realizing, oh, the last bus was the one that dropped us off. We're going to have to hoof it back from the mountains. And Mob, while also being a little bit annoyed at that situation, calls Reagan out for... He's like, hey, you didn't do anything in there. But Mr. 100 Speechcraft Ideal Mentor was like, oh, I told you that I was going to leave you all the small fries. And Mob was like, oh, okay, you're right. So Reagan, because of his con artistry, is always playing into Mob like, oh yeah, that's no big deal. Like, you got this.
Right. Every time.
Every time. And that's episode
So
1. We
yeah.
meet Mob and Reagan.
Yeah, we get a good introduction to our 2 main characters. And then rolling into episode 2, we get a little more of Mob's school life in this episode. So basically, the episode starts off and Mob kind of having this school life, but then goes straight home, school life, then goes straight home. I think it's not until like they show his love interest, which I love how they do this because this chick has a normal face and everything, and then every chick that Mob's not interested in is like potato, carrot head of carrot broccoli. Just like, what do these ladies look like?
There was one girl that was an eggplant head.
Oh,
I was
dying
at that one. I was like, there's 2 jokes in one.
I think that's how every woman wants their man to look at them in a group of women.
All other girls are potatoes.
Potato head. But no, anyways.
It's definitely the first time we see Mob seem to actually care about anything. It's
right.
like he's got the hots for this girl, Subomi.
Right. And then I think he kind of has that heart-to-heart with Reagan about like, you know, hey, I kind of want to do something outside of, you know, this usual day-to-day thing that I'm usually doing. And he's like, I can't quite figure out what that would be though. Like, you know, and stuff like, oh, and then before this, I think didn't the telepathy club approach him at this point?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I thought that what inspired it was the meeting with the telepathy club. So,
yeah. Which are a bunch of, you know, kids that are just kind of slacking off, to be honest. I outside of our main gal, I feel.
Yeah, so early in the episode, we're taken to the perspective of the high school or the middle school telepathy club.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with like one of their members leaving, which meant they no longer had the required 5 people to
That's right.
to have the club.
The president showed up and he, like just like a second after, and they're like, that wasn't even.
Yeah, and true gag anime fashion, as soon as member 5 dropped, boom. Student council.
Disturbance. He was like instantly there. I was waiting outside the door actually.
And he decided to be nice about things, and he's like, you got like to the end of the week to get a 5th member or you lose your room.
Exactly.
And so these kids, the one girl that seems to actually care about it, her name is Tome, and she is portrayed as, Mob doesn't see her as a carrot or anything, but she is like more basic looking than Mob is.
Mm-hmm.
Like in a show of like weird characters, she is the most nondescript, plain Jane.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like just like the way like she's animated is very just cut and dry, like Mob is, you know, bowl cut and everything. You know?
It's Mob with 3 eyelashes.
Essentially, so like they gotta give it to that animation style. Like reuse this.
Right, we're getting through these scenes real quick.
That's not a shot on the animators, by the way, because I'm all about saving time, to be honest.
It doesn't look bad, but she's basic.
But yeah, so she kind of like tries to plead to that guy, like we will find the guy and everything. So they literally comb that whole school, and not a single soul is like.
That's creepy. Why would I do that? That's creepy.
Weird. Don't you guys just slack off anyways?
Yeah. Why do you need a club room for it? And then by the end of 3 days, they're like, I'm even starting to feel bad from everybody saying we're creepy.
Right. So yeah, they approach Mob just because he's like the one soul like just like, left.
The going home club.
And they approach him and he's just like, I don't think I have time for this.
And then they abduct him.
Yeah, they basically are just like, no, you're come to ours. We're gonna like interrogate you until you do.
This is the best moment of your youth. You have to embrace it now. And
Yeah, basically that whole segment is them trying to sell it, and I think Reagan is calling him for a job. He's like, "Hey, Mob, you got a job, dude? Like, where are you?" And Mob tells him like, "Oh yeah, I'm getting signed up for a telepathy club," and he's like, "What? A telepathy club? Like you're an Esper for free?" I think he almost slips up and he almost like lets a cat out of the bag about his whole shindig almost. And he's like, I mean, you don't have time for stuff like that. And so, yeah, he basically gets talked out of it by Reagan and
The
goes and does.
opening of this episode is like the only time I ever feel like you even a little bit feel like Reagan's a bad guy trying to use Mob. You're like, I mean, I get it, but back
Right.
forth, back forth. Thankfully, he does resolve it by the end, and you're like, no, Reagan was right.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so yeah, they do a job, I believe, and then I think yeah, that's when Mob has that heart to heart with Reagan about, having the extracurricular thing to do outside of what he normally does day to day. And, you know, Reagan's all like, "Are you sure about it though? Like, you got to make sure this is something you got to commit to." Like, he makes it a big freaking deal
Yeah.
for a middle school club.
Yeah, Mob's thinking like, oh, I'll just do this because it'll help them and it doesn't mean anything to me. And Reagan makes it sound like climbing Everest. Like, this is what you got to do.
Right. And he also makes a point like, you're not even doing it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Which Mob's like,
And that is the one thing Reagan is always about. He's like, Mob, I got your back on whatever you want to do as long as you're doing it for you and not because you feel you should do it for someone else.
right. Exactly. So that whole exchange happens. Mob's got that to kind of think about and digest more or less, right?
Well,
And then,
in true gag anime fashion, no sooner does he get off the phone,
yeah.
that it is time that it's now.
No.
Decision has to be made
Yeah,
now.
yeah. The student council shows up. He's like, "It's time."
Yep. And Tomei's like, oh, but he was just about to sign, And he's like, too bad. Like,
and
I've
then-
already gave the room away.
Yeah, and then our muscle bros show up. Yeah.
Yep. Turns out the Body Improvement Club is the new club that is taking over this room.
Yeah, and they show up with all their stuff and
Yeah, a bunch
everything.
of buff jocks with like delinquent haircuts, but it's just like white t-shirt,
And
red
then
gym shorts.
It just clicks for Mob instantly. He's like,
I'll join your club. And we flash to Mob bowing to the Muscle Boys.
I will join your club. And then, so yeah, everybody's shocked, of course. And they're just like, what? Why? And then Mob's just like, well, that's kind of something I lack in, Like, I want to improve my body. And they're all over here like, well, you're and everything. He's like, yeah, and like,
I want to be attractive. Girls like muscles.
I don't want to have to rely on my powers all the time. Like, that's not the point of this. So he joins the club, and then like we get like a flash to him, like, or no, the muscle guy's doing their jog or whatever, and then he's like way behind, like dying.
Yeah, that's every time I get back on the fitness horse. That is always like my most used reaction gif. How do you feel about your workout?
Barely alive. My heart's still beating. I don't know why.
It hasn't taken me yet.
Hasn't exploded yet. But yeah, that rounds out like that episode is pretty short and sweet little like middle school life for Mob pretty much. Mm-hmm. And rolls us into the next one.
An invite to a meeting. Simply put, I just want to be popular. Does not every middle schooler?
Yeah, you get that little crisis. Hormones are going.
So, this episode, Mob is walking home, and he comes across a lady on the street, and this lady is wearing a mask and is all covered up except for her hands, and the mask is like a over-the-top emoji smiley face.
Yes.
And she does poking, probing, like, oh, something's wrong with you. Something's got to be wrong. Is it school troubles? No. Is it fitness? the girls, no. And like 5 things later, going through
That's
the
like
con man's
that's like
playbook.
like a con man's like way to say they're psychic, but they're actually like choreograph or like kind of like making you go into that direction. And he's like, "Oh, how did you know?" Mob is. I just love that reaction because
Yeah.
he went through several, and then he's like, "Oh, you got it."
Yeah, exactly. You definitely see Mob as the gullible kid he is. Takes everything at like just face value.
Yep.
And so she finally lands on, "Do you want to be popular?" And he's like, "Yes, that's it."
Sold.
And so he follows her to a meeting of her new religious organization she's a part of. And she's like, "Hey, if you join us, you'll be popular. Everybody will like you." And he's like, "Absolutely, I'm here for it." And so they go into this building. They get an escalator or elevator. They go down, 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 down. It feels like they go down too long, kind of.
Yeah.
And they open up into like a big single room auditorium with a stage and like a projector screen on the back. Whole auditorium's filled with people.
All wearing a
Everybody's
mask.
everybody's masked up with the smiley mask. And there's Mob, a girl from his class who he recognizes as the school reporter chick, and then just some Joe Schmo dude.
Yes.
And after some murmuring going through the crowd, Mob and the reporter gal have a little talk like, "What's going on? Why are we here?"
Right.
And she's like, "I'm trying to get the scoop on this religious organization, figure out what's going on." Which, why in high school animes are the kid reporters always that over the top? I must just not get journalistic culture, but they always seem like the most extra people to me for like no reason.
And they're really ambitious. I mean, like about what they do, like because they do a lot of. I've watched a few movies about like a journalist type of thing, like where they would just go to extremes to get that shot or whatever. And yeah, they do kind of do that with like young kids, like, and this is middle school of all things, you know?
Right. Yeah, it's like there are things that's appropriate for, but for the middle school gazette, like really?
I know, just over the top at this young age. Oh, girl.
I was like, okay. Anyway, ran over on that one.
No, you're good.
Sorry about that. They get through the murmuring, and then finally the cult leader gets on the stage. Dude with like the exact same smile, but on his real face. He's got bright red Pikachu cheeks. He looks like a Buddhist monk and he's got like long purple robes on.
Right.
And the organization's called LOL, and he wants to make everybody happy by laughing.
Yes.
Interesting path for divinity. We warned you, it's a gag anime.
Yeah.
So we go through the opening meeting of the cult, and they're like, "We have 3 new members. This boy wants to be popular. This guy was homeless on the street or whatever." Like the Joe Schmo was just some guy that got random grabbed.
Right. Go figure.
And they're like, "We're going to bring him our way." And so first step is initiation. We're going to put the hood on you, and you're going to smile too. And
you put the hood over
put the hood on the dude, and pull it off, and yep. Beaming smile, but it is illustrated in a way where it looks like he's pained. And
like it's like a force, like the rest of your face doesn't match that part at all.
And so they get to the reporter chick, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna put it on you next." She's like, "No, I don't want to do it. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't be here. I'll leave. I'll forget all about this. I won't say anything."
Yeah.
And religious leader, I don't think we get his name yet.
I want to just call him Smiley.
Yeah, Smiley. Smiley's like, "Nope, you're here. You're part of this now." So they put it on her and pull it off, and now she's got the smile.
And she's like, "Oh no!"
Get the internal dialogue. It's like, "I don't want to smile. This isn't true to myself." And like right before she had the hood put on her, everyone else had taken their hoods off. So it's just a whole room of people with this fake smile. And so she's like having a panic attack. Like, "I'm going to be stuck like this forever with these weirdos. But doesn't it feel so great that we're all here smiling?" Having like this battle.
Right.
And camera pans over to Mob, still in the mask. He's like, is this supposed to do something?
Yeah.
Can I take this off?
And
He pulls it off, and he's still Mob. He's like, oh, I see that you put a hex on this to curse people.
yeah, because he was picking up on it a little bit when he got there.
He's like, this isn't real. You're just using your psychic powers to control these people. You shouldn't do that. And Smiley's like, you will bow to me. No one's ever gotten past the smile mask.
Right.
So he uses his own powers. Everyone smile!
And then Mob's just like...
And Mom's like, nah. He does it like 2-3 times and just nothing happens. The whole crowd's like, ah!
Yeah, ah! Ah!
And so Mom's like, all right, well, this ain't for me. I'm going home.
Right, if I'm gonna leave.
And so the religious leader jumps out. He's like, wait, one last thing. I'm going to make a challenge before you go.
I'm gonna make you laugh.
If you can't
Hold
pass
the-
my challenge, you have to stay put.
Yeah.
And yeah, they play the put milk
pull
in your
the
mouth.
and
Don't laugh.
We're gonna laugh. And this part made me laugh because it's,
I would have failed.
I mean, they're just like...
He goes 3 for 3 in a row. Every single one, he puts the milk in his mouth, and the person from the cult puts the milk in their mouth.
They don't
And
even make it to their punchline if they were gonna do anything.
yeah, 1 second later, everyone spewed their milk, and Smiley's like, oh, maybe making them laugh all the time shot me in the foot for this.
You don't say, dude.
And so Smiley goes, all right, it's my turn. We're just gonna duke it out with powers now. And turns out Smiley was a evil ghost possessing a dude. It's not even him. And Smiley comes out, and his name is Dimple, which
Well, we need to get to know him as
get to know him
Dimple,
as Dimple, and which is a heck of a naming for that. I wonder if there's like a joke that is lost in translation. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he's green. He's still got the Pikachu cheeks, and he looks like
He gets big. He's like a big...
he's like the Hulk and
genie.
Mr. Clean.
Like a big green genie.
Yep.
Almost, yeah.
And they have their psychic power duel, and
Quickly finds out Mob ain't no pushover.
yep. And Dimple's like, oh, I'm so powerful. I'll try this. This doesn't work. I'll try that. That doesn't work. Well, I still can do this. And meanwhile, Mob's just like blowing pieces of him away.
Like, just... And this dude's like, all right, I'm not holding back now.
And Mob relays to him, he's like, you need to either stop this or I'm just going to get rid of you entirely. That's your choices.
And then he goes for the kill.
And he goes for the finisher. And Mob goes, boop, bing, and
boom.
crisis averted. So all the people under mind control pass out. Mob goes home. And we exit the episode with the people from mind control waking up like...
Why are we here?
They're like, we remember what was going on, but...
Oh.
Smiley doesn't... Did he always look like that?
Right.
Weren't we saved by a kid with a mushroom head?
Right.
And so that starts a whole
Cult
cult down the way as
The
well.
posters kill me.
Oh my gosh. Does the episode end with the poster? Yeah, okay, so yeah, it ends with them putting a poster on one of the signs. Have you seen this? And it's just the worst Sharpie imitation.
It makes
of
him
Mom.
look like a mushroom for sure.
Yeah. If found, please call XXX 555-0439.
Right. So funny. And that rolls us into our next episode, and we got some more middle school shenanigans in a sense, I guess.
Yes.
After that incident, apparently Dimple survived.
Dimple survived, and that was the funniest cold open to me. Oh my gosh.
And it's kind of funny too, because like Bob makes it apparent to him, like, you better calm down or I will exercise you for real.
Yeah, Mob wasn't ready to see him first thing when he woke up. Dimple's like, hi.
And he's like,
yeah, grabs him and just starts
Smacking
beating him
him
against
into
the floor. Dimple goes, he's like,
why'd you do that?
why'd you do that? I thought I was still asleep. I wanted to make sure I wasn't dreaming.
You're supposed to pinch yourself.
Not me.
But yeah, so Dimple's back and everything, just being his usual egotistic self, just trying to convince Bob, like, hey, let me hijack your body, yo.
Following you around everywhere. I'm gonna learn what you want, and then I'm gonna use that to seduce
well,
ya.
he tries to be like, you could be a god among people, and that's what he wants.
And I'm pretty sure he takes Dimple to Reagan at the start of the episode. And
Yeah, he's like, do you not see his ghost? And Reagan's like, must be a low-level ghost, dude. I don't see anything. And then Dimple's like, I don't feel any psychic energy from this guy at all. And Dimple catches on that he is using Mob. But he's like, I'm going to hold off on telling Mob for right now. But yeah,
like,
he does introduce him to him, and he just doesn't see him at the time. It's so
like, if
funny.
he's not bothering you, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
He's so weak, I don't notice him.
And then Mob's like, well, just don't cause any trouble, and I won't exercise you, I suppose. So yeah, we go through that, and I think through school life, Dimple's kind of paying attention to what his likes and dislikes are, and then like
it's a lot. It's like a still life montage of
Mm-hmm.
him like sleeping through class, gym class, being terrible. Like very you get your slice of life feel, but it's like zoomed out from Dimple's out of body experience.
Yeah, more or less, and that's when the Mob starts getting more attempts at him from Dimple about doing the possession, the body, and whatever, and I guess he runs into our delinquent gang. That's right. He was just passing by, and that stuff was going down, I believe, wasn't it?
So he kind of starts to become a background character a bit
for
in this one.
In this snap, yeah.
And we flash over to a delinquent kid named Onigawara, and he is having a fight with a rival gang from
Another middle school.
I'm pretty sure it's Pepper Middle School.
Yeah, yeah.
There's salt in their pepper. Everything is food in Mob Psycho.
That's a gag anime.
Good with it.
But yeah, they get into the showdown, right? And then
it starts with Onigawara and the Salt Middle School thugs like just whooping on him.
Yeah.
And so they go running for the hills. They're like, we're gonna go get our shadow leader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then Onigawara's like, yeah, whatever.
And so next we see just him. The Salt Middle School kids just beat up. Like they lost to the shadow leader. So they set out on a mission to get revenge.
Yeah.
And the main aspect of their plan is they're
trying to get the bodybuilders.
Yeah, they want to use the Body Improvement Club as their muscle force to go back and fight
the
shadow leader.
And their way of doing this was basically such a dumb botch. Like, even his friends are like, how they're going to fall for that. So he tricks the main guy, Musashi, right?
Well, so first he goes to Musashi to ask for help, and Musashi's like, no, we don't train our muscles for something as dumb as fighting. Like, we train our muscles to advance ourselves, to be better.
Right.
And today, it's squat month.
And he's just like, we're doing squats.
Don't got time for that.
Right. And so, yeah, that's when Onigawara finds out about Mob, and he's like, I'm going to use this guy because they really care about this guy, and to tricking them to thinking that, oh, he got kidnapped by another middle school. Come save me. So he writes, that's what he does. And then he's also writes a letter to Mob. Not really. He just fakes it at that. He's like, I'm a girl.
Me here.
I'm a girl.
I'm a girl.
Oh, it's legit, is what Mob thinks. He's like, but it could be, though. Like, Dimple's like, that's totally, like, not real, dude. Right. He's like, but it could be, though.
No girl would write, I'm a girl. And we get a pan to Onigawara talking with the thugs.
Yeah.
And he's like, I know this plan's not going to fail because I even made sure to write, I'm a girl. And his two bros were like, that's never going to work.
And it worked.
It worked. Mob is the only person that is oblivious enough to go, well, maybe.
And so... get to do a time skip, and we're showing up at the place of the meeting, where it's Mob that's walking up, and I think the Pepper High School or middle school kids are like, this is who they sent to find us and everything like that. I believe,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
And
like, we're gonna just take you hostage and
right,
get the thugs back, and we're gonna whoop on them. Because what is this? What
right,
is this?
right,
100
and that
pounds soaking wet, zero muscle.
right, and so that plan ends up falling through. Not exactly how Onigawara had planned it, because he had to come there for whatever reason. He showed up for the fight too, right? Because he was banking on the bodybuilders to be there, and they never had time.
They showed up late because he put the note in a weird place. So
Right.
it was Tomei in the fitness room found the note and was like, Musashi, hands it
Right.
over. And then once Musashi realizes that Mob was kidnapped,
They're on their way.
then all the boys ran. They're like, oh, they have one of our
But
own.
our delinquent guys get their butts kicked, though, because Mob is against violence. But, joining the body improvement club, he kind of just fit right in with that one. He's like,
Yeah.
I don't like violence either.
He's tiny and he's wimpy, and at this point, we've come to learn that he's not going to use his powers on people. We don't know why it's such a big deal, but he's like, no, I ain't doing that.
But yeah, so their shadow leader steps out, and that's when we meet that guy for the first time. Is it Taruki, right?
Taruki, yep.
Yeah. Taruki comes out, and he's just, I guess, like, popular with, like, the ladies and stuff like that, and he just can't be bothered with stuff. And so he shows up, again, to beat the snot out of Salt Middle School delinquents again. And then I wants to challenge Mob, but Mob's like, no, I don't want to fight you at this point.
Well,
yeah.
between here and there, before
The
Taruki
showdown.
shows up, the
Yeah.
bodybuilders show up.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
They laid
They
waste to the
make
pepper middle
That's right.
thugs, because so there's chaos around, and they're like, come on, Mom. And then Taruki shows up, and the fitness bros are like, we just came here for this dude. Now that we have him, we're leaving.
Right. And
Taruki is like, well, you just messed up all my dudes, and I can't be looking bad like that, so we're going to fight. And so we see that Taruki, we're getting hints that he probably has psychic powers.
He does that weird stance that I don't like, though. Like, he always puts his knees in.
Yeah, the
like,
knees
it's
in.
Weird. Like, that's always a weird stance to me. I'm like, why is he doing... It looks like he's trying to hold it, you know?
Right, the anti-power stance.
Right. But, yeah, so he gets into that stance, right? And these guys don't know what the heck's going on. They're not espers. And, his thing is more of like a kinetic type of thing where he kind of speeds up his body in such a speed, like the force alone is just...
Yeah, and then like the psychic barrier over whatever the contact point is like a really quick psychic punch kind of thing.
So he kind of like starts laying waste to these guys. And
the bodybuilders are like, man, you must have some special muscle types because you're strong for how thin you are.
Right.
And like they just take it as like, well, we're not good enough. And I loved that about their characters.
Right. And then I think that's when Mob like is like, you shouldn't do that. You know, you shouldn't be like fighting people and using your psychic abilities to do it.
Right. And we flash over to Mob and we see him use his powers to undo the rope around him, and he gets up and then he walks over. He's like, nah, man.
He has his speech, and then we have that showdown that happens. Mob,
that is bringing us into episode 5.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Ochimusha, psychic powers and me. So episode 6, we get the square off between
Taruki
and Mob.
Yep.
Very, very one-sided, but not in the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
The fight goes like the whole episode long.
Right.
And the whole time, I lost count of how many times Mob tried to go, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight. It's like, you shouldn't use your powers on people. And Taruki is just like
not
not having
because
it.
that is all his life has
I
ever
am
been.
pretty boy, blonde hair, blue eyed. The whole world revolves around me.
And I got psychic powers. So
I'm the main character. Y'all are side characters in this production. That's how he's lived his whole entire life. And so this loser ain't gonna do it to him. It's like, come on, fight me. I want to see who's better. What's the hierarchy here?
right, he wants to see like where he caps out at. Basically, he wants to get his size up.
And so after destroying like half the frickin' school,
Oh my
which
goodness, yes.
yeah, collateral damage apparently nothing if you have psychic powers.
Right.
They get in the home ec room and he uses his psychic powers and picks up a whole bunch of knives. He's like, "Come on, use your powers, use your powers." If
Well,
you
he's
don't,
trying to
I'm
put
gonna-"
him in that life or death scenario to make him do it. Yes.
And so he shoots the knives at him, and Mob puts up his psychic shield because obviously don't
Not
want
gonna
to
get
caught.
hit. Yeah.
And one shoots back, and the lightning strikes. And we're seeing a very slow black and white Hitchcock-esque view of the top of his head.
His new hairdo.
No hair. He's got the dad do, the monk do, all sides, no
Receding
top.
hairline.
1000%. And this bit right here, I feel like they make a joke that I enjoyed a lot more on the sub side because he's making a reference to, like the old samurai hairstyles,
Yeah,
of
it's
having
a
it all shaved with
cultural
the
joke,
top
yeah.
knot, and so I felt like it was just a little extra on the sub version, but they were both great. I just felt like it hit better on that
Yeah,
side.
because like that dude is like Taruki is just like insta like mortified because that's like his pride and joy.
You think I look like an Onimusha? You
No?
were thinking it.
He just won't take any kind of retort
Because
for
it
an
doesn't
answer.
help his case that the weapon he was choosing to utilize at that time,
Was his own undoing.
he in his main hand, so he throws all the knives with the one push from one hand, and his main hand he has taken off his tie and utilized his psychic powers to make his tie the same durability as a sword.
Right.
And so he's crop top with the sword.
And it just looks even more like traditional Japanese.
Taruki loses it, and so he runs and grabs Mob by the throat and pins
chokes
him on
him.
the wall. He's like, "I'm gonna make you use your powers."
And Bob's like trying so hard not to. He's just like, oh no, I'm fading out.
He punches him in the face.
Yep.
With his fist. He's like, "I'm not gonna hit you with my
He's
powers." Yeah, it's like getting hit by a baby.
Gentle
Taruki's like,
caress of the cheek.
"Are you kidding me? After all this, you're not gonna use your powers on me? Like, if you don't, you're gonna die. I'm gonna kill you if you don't use your powers." And he's like, "Nope, nope, nope, nope." And we're watching Mob's internal counter going up.
Go back between 98 and 99.
Right, because I guess that's something we glossed over in all the episodes to
Oh
this
yeah,
point.
we're sorry.
Is
So
behind the scenes where anytime something traumatic happens to Mob, we get a counter. Like it's something that would have triggered his emotion as like, and it reads progress towards Mob's explosion. And we get a percentage counter. And from episode 1, we started at like 20, and it's been working up.
that explains why our boy has that still look on his face because the psychic powers derive from emotion more greatly than anything else. So that's why he's not showing anything half of the time because he knows full well what he's capable of, and we'll touch on that here eventually. But yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, he's got an internal counter that kind of reaches his peak point of his full-on Esper powers, his real ones.
And so the screen bounces 98, 99, 98, 99, 98, 99 until it like digital bleeps out. And then we're just presented with question. And Taruki's freaking out. "Oh no, I killed him. Why didn't you use your powers on me?" All of a sudden,
Yeah,
Mob straight up vertical, and he's all blacked out.
Yep.
And his eyes are just white. Everything looks like scribbles. Like he is just an amalgamation of power that's no longer Mob.
Yeah. Think of Nine-Tailed Jinchuriki Naruto. That's
And when he has a little stands up, explodes, and pushes Taruki away, it had such force that it removed all his clothes. So now he is removed
Bald.
all his hair, removed all his clothes,
Naked.
and Taruki is hyped. He's like, ha ha ha, I got you to use your powers on
But
me.
he's floating in the sky naked and everything.
And so Mob in that state ends up retorting and hits him with a psychic blast so hard it destroys literally half the school, shoots it clear up into the sky. Taruki ends up above the clouds in the stratosphere, and the whole time he's like, I'm sorry, put me back down, I won't. Because the whole time before Mob got trigger set off, Mob was like, look, without your powers, you're me. And Taruki could not handle that. He's like, there's no way. I am so much better than you. I'm the big fish.
That's right, yeah.
And he gets above the clouds, is looking at the sun above the stratosphere, and he's like,
Oh.
oh, I really am small.
When you're up against an actual Esper anyways, you know.
And he finally gets his perspective and comes back down. I don't think we see him come back down, but he comes back later,
Well,
so we know he comes back down.
That's when Mob rebuilds the school, too.
Yes, so Mob wakes up out of his episode, and he looks at the mess that has come from using his powers. And
he feels sadness.
Yes, he gets triggered. We go back to the 98, 99.
Because he used his powers against somebody, so he's like, oh no.
Yeah, and destroyed a whole building. He's like, I haven't changed, and so he hits 100%, but it ends up being sadness 100%.
Yeah, what do you do when you're sad? You try to pick up all the pieces.
And so he's having a fit, and as a result of his psychic powers pouring out,
beautiful like transition. Like that was a perfect depiction of what sadness is.
Yes, he pulls the whole school back together piece by piece, and then you can't tell anything happened by the point it's all said and done. And then that takes us out of that episode.
And that brings us back into episode 6, Discord to Become One. And this one's more of another character introduction type of thing, because this kind of bleeds into our next episode, I believe, after this one.
Yeah, we get like a little mini arc going here where we start following around Mob's brother.
Ritsu. Yeah, so we kind of, like, the cold opening for this one is kind of a shot of him and his brother as kids. And Mob's kind of using his psychic powers, all willy-nilly to play around and stuff. And, of course, Ritsu's just like, oh, you're so cool. Wow. And through this episode, we kind of learn that
Ritsu basically ends up being like Mob's opposite in every way.
Yeah.
He didn't get any psychic powers.
Right.
He is like top of the class. He's in the student council, top grades. He's like a year younger.
He's a little bit good looking.
Yeah, he's definitely the more attractive of the two brothers. To me, I feel like he would be like in some kind of sport, but I don't think it ever is actually alluded to. But to me, it feels like he's the top of the class valedictorian guy candidate.
Definitely. He kind of picked up like where he Mob kind of lacked, like you said, and became like a top student and everything. He's even part of the council, like you said.
Yeah, Mob looks up to him a lot.
Yeah, Mob really does, but Ritsu doesn't see it like that, obviously, because he's just like, psychic powers are the end-all, be-all. Like, I have seen them being used, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, because through this we get a lot of Ritsu lens where he's like up late at night with a spoon trying to bend it with his mind.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
being upset because in Ritsu's head he's like, Mob is the better brother. He's got the powers. He can do anything he wants. Like, what I can do is a joke compared. So it's kind of funny because there's like this unspoken thing between both the brothers where they both idealize each other for...
Yeah, and they're comparing apples to oranges, man. So Ritsu follows, a lot of what Mob does and stuff, and is trying to figure out, like, do I have that innate talent to do this stuff? And he kind of looks more and more into it, I believe, and kind of looks into this group that...
So we get our stroke of fate. So
right.
Ritsu's heading home one day, and on his way home, he's stopped by this rather eccentric-looking gentleman. And this guy's like, hey, are you last name? he asked for their family last name, and he's like, yeah. And he's like, Kageyama. Finally, it came back to me. He's like, hey,
Right,
are you Mr.
Kageyama.
Kageyama? He's like, yeah. He's like, well,
Kageyama.
I'm interested in psychic powers, and I've been told that you have them. I
Right.
would like you to come to my facility where I'm trying to help develop new espers and help with my mission.
Yeah, and Ritsu being Ritsu, and he's like, well, this would be a good opportunity to find out, hopefully.
Yes, if anybody can awaken it, like, it's worth my time to check out.
Right.
I know that you were not asking for me, but and Ritsu's protective of Mob
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
He's like,
He
I
doesn't
don't
want him
know.
to be exploited, for sure.
Right. He's like, I don't know why he doesn't use his powers, but we're not going to let anybody exploit him for his powers.
And so he goes along with him and gets introduced to these other Esper kids that
Yes.
kind of just...
The operation's totally innocent. Like,
It is.
It is literally the telepathy club ran by a 30-year-old.
Yeah, they're basically at the recreation center.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks something like that.
So they're all good people, but wacky. You know, he's a trust fund baby with too much money. So he's like, I decided to spend it on learning psychic powers. That's what I always wanted.
Right. Psychic powers for everyone.
And so yeah, we're introduced to the psychic kids he's recruited, and
I mean, they are to a little extent. Like psychic, I mean, they're just baby powers. Like, keep that in mind.
one kid's a pyrokinetic. He can make a little fire.
It's like, ugh.
As Ritsu said, that's less useful than a lighter.
Exactly.
There's a set of twins that have telepathy with each other. Only
twin stuff. And there's a chick that has a divination.
Yeah,
apparently.
clairvoyant.
Clairvoyant. Sorry.
Yeah, she can get the right card 40% of the time or something. Her odds were worse than 50-50, but they're all like,
These kids' statistics were just killing me because of how they were presented. Like these are our powers.
right. I want to say think bottom of the bucket, but like didn't even make the bottom of the bucket. This is like slipped through the cracks, fell in with the sewage.
Yeah, there's a hole.
They're all good kids, but useless espers.
Right, and at least in this universe, anyway. So yeah, Ritu isn't impressed by it. And he leaves. He's just like, I'm done with y'all. Like, I'm out of here. And then he's, while this is going on though, he's going through some stuff with student council, because student council is trying to figure out a way to, like, I don't know, thin out the school, or that's what it was.
Yeah, they wanted to get rid of the delinquents so
But
that
it was sold as
everybody's
something else.
test grades would raise by proxy.
That's right. Yeah, this is something that they could sell to, like, the principal, like, right away. So Ritu got kind of pulled into it by the student council pres, and is like, yo, this was your idea, so, you know, kind of help me, you know, kind of sow this seeds of discord here.
We're going to blackmail some delinquents.
Hence the episode name, Discord. And so, yeah, they go around and blackmail all the delinquents. Like, and Ritu's been a part of this, and of course, having Mob as the older brother and kind of like a person to aspire to be, he's kind of having like what would you call it? Like a split, like a battle with himself. Like, he's like, this is wrong, but, you know, can I say anything at this moment, you know, or, you know, and it keeps going on. And it's messing with him, clearly.
This is where we find out that apparently you gotta go through trauma to get psychic powers.
Mm-hmm. And this.
So as we exit the episode, he goes back to the psychic community center, and old dude's like, come on, bend the spoon. He's looking at it and looking at it. Nothing's happening, and he throws a fit. He's like, oh, this is dumb. Yeah. Throws the spoon down at the table. He's like, I'm leaving. I'm never coming back.
And he storms out at this point.
Out.
And then they're like, the kids are like, well, I mean,
he wasn't doing anything.
And then the guy's like, I don't think so. And then, like, at the end of the episode, there's a spoon on the ground, like, all twisted and everything.
It is not just a little 90-degree bend.
No, it is like curly-cued.
Yeah, you threw it in the meat grinder and...
Right. And that goes into transition into our next part in episode 7, where exaltation, I've obtained loss.
So after starting to awaken to his powers,
This has the cold opening of our.
we get a cold open of Dimple saying hello to the
Ritsu,
brother.
because he finds out he has psychic powers.
Like, new opportunity, new vessel.
Oh, yes. And so, yeah, he says good morning to Ritsu. And
Ritsu has the exact same reaction Mob did. Ritsu grabs and just whack, whack, whack.
I like how they just grab him by his thing. It's like, ugh. What is that thing?
I'm a spirit. Don't exercise me. I'm your brother's friend. I can help you with your powers.
And Ritsu's like, all right.
You have my attention.
Ritsu wants psychic powers, so.
So we get a little bit of a montage of Dimple and Ritsu doing psychic power stuff, and as the episode starts progressing,
Yeah, they go to the group again, and then they're like seeing like Ritsu's kind of showing off, you know, in a sense.
So in the background of the training arc, we get some more info on like what's going on at school. Ritsu's pulled aside by a little Miss Reporter who has been doing the follow-ups on the new mushroom head cult.
Yeah, that too.
And she's like, I know that was Mob. I know all about his powers. There's no reason that nobody should know about it like it is now. Like, we could make him big. Ritsu's like, no.
Nope.
And then he also finds out through the episode that Mob is the shadow gang leader at Salt Middle School. And so he's like, well, I can't let anybody know that either. So since I have powers now, I'm going to be that.
Yes.
So he goes down the exact same route we just had with Taruki 2 episodes ago.
And he beats up all the delinquents.
I'm the big fish, and beats up all the delinquents.
And then it just kind of cascades more and more. And then whilst this is going on, the student council president is getting jumped now, apparently, by the other delinquents, because in proxy, that's what he's known by. Because
we have a cut-in where we see all of the local gang leaders from the various middle schools.
Are you white? What was his name? White
tea poison.
Yeah. Best name ever.
Yeah, because the destruction of the school was caught on camera, so it went on the news, so everybody saw it.
Bob was wearing his PE outfit, the white T-shirt at the time.
And so, yeah, White Tea Poison took down Pepper Middle School's shadow leader, so everybody wanted a piece of this new mystery man.
Poison.
So
yeah,
Ritsu decided to play the role, and he's picking fights,
making the names and everything. And so anybody that associates around Ritsu, or Mob too, for that matter, let's be honest, is going to get questioned. And yeah, that snapshot of the student council president just casually walking in, and they're like, are you White Tea Poison? He's like, oh no, not me. Gets pummeled. Then has the nerve to like,
I can't do it anymore. Hey, you gotta let me go. You gotta stop this, Ritsu.
Then Ritsu's drunk on power, and he's just like,
you started this.
Yeah, he's like, you can't handle it, which was like cool as heck, because that'd be my reaction too. I'm like,
I definitely
like it.
Saw a lot of potential for like a brother villain arc. I'm like, I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Like,
right.
If they go there, I'm not upset. Thankfully, they didn't.
Yeah.
So we exit the episode with Ritsu in an alleyway, which is bodies around him. He is now top dog.
And then Mob walks up. He's like, Ritsu?
What are you doing?
Right. And that pulls us into our next episode.
So, 8. Episode 8, we have the older brother Bao's destructive intent.
Yeah.
So, picking up where we left off of episode 7... Episode 8, Mob is discovering that... I don't know why this keeps happening to me. Ritsu. Mob discovers that Ritsu has been acting as the shadow gang leader and beating everybody up.
Yeah.
But, all that aside, all that Mob sees is, Ritsu, your powers finally awakened. You wanted this for so long.
This is awesome.
Like, I'm so happy for you. And Ritsu, drunk with power, is like, I'm better than you now. I can control my powers, and I don't need.
And this whole time, Dimple's like, "Oh no,
Uh-oh.
he's getting a little too carried away."
And as this exchange is going on, we see from the rooftops there is some dude in a hoodie and some big ass Doc Martens looking
Kinda
down, and
watching
he
the whole thing. And I think before that, Dimple's like, "I'm splitting."
right. I am not hanging out for this brother versus brother fight.
Right. And of course, Mom's like, "Yeah, what are you doing?" And you're like, "I don't want to fight you." I think Ritsu is like, even without his Dimple's help, he's like, "I can handle this. I got a handle on it." I'm just like, "Oh my god."
Right. And Mob bows to the beat up hooligans. He's like, I apologize for
Yeah,
my
for
brother.
my
this,
brother's
that, the other
behalf, he's
thing."
not supposed to do that. He just got his powers today, so boys will be boys.
And so his mom's trying to do damage control. Our new villain hops in off the ceiling. And
Yeah.
this dude has like every villain trope you could think of. He's got the purple.
Mohawk.
He has the mohawk. I think he has a goatee.
He's got piercings.
He's got piercings. He's got the super dark under eyes. Like
Yes.
you look at him and you're like, yeah, that's the bad guy.
dude's no good.
And he's like, "Are you Kageyama?"
And then Ritsu,
and
being
Ritsu's
Ritsu's like,
"Yeah, I'm Kageyama."
and then so Ritsu thinks he's gonna have that showdown with this guy and show Mob like, I can handle myself.
Yeah,
Not even. That he just gets blam.
yeah, dude puts him in the wall and the floor. Like Ritsu just could. Ritsu got the Taruki treatment. He got to see, oh, you're not top dog here.
Mm-hmm. Got really humbled real quick, but of course, Mob, being Mob, like, no. But
Yep.
he touches my brother.
That was 0 to 100, and we get the first instance of a mob explosion
Rage.
while conscious.
Yeah, this is Rage.
And he is going toe to toe. They do it as like
He
like
has
a
like a
traditional fight, like they do like hand to hand combat with their psychic powers.
Yeah, and he kind of gets Mob on the fences because he has like a Esper ability that warps the Esper or what barrier you would put around yourself and to let his actual fist in to you. So like he's making full on contact against Mob because Mob's like, oh yeah, that hurt.
But Mob's still going toe to toe with him to the point where he's like, well, I don't know who this kid is. I was sent here for that kid, and I need to leave. I've wasted too much time, and this is not going well. Pepper spray!
Yeah, it was just like paralyzing spray because Mob was still conscious when he's just like, shook. But he was still, like, that power was still in him too, I believe, yeah.
This is important, and I glossed over it. The whole reason Mob ends up in the alley in the first place is Taruki had been walking by as Ritsu had been fighting everybody.
He called Mob.
And he's like, what's going on? Mob's brother has powers all of a sudden, and he's using them on
and he
people.
doesn't want to get involved with it. He's just like, I'm going to let Mob handle this.
So he gives Mob a call. And so Taruki is here also. And so after getting through the fight, Mob gets put to sleep with the spray. Our hooligan takes Ritsu and bounces.
Yeah.
And Taruki gets everybody up. Mob is still kind of losing his stuff. He's like, chill. We're going to go get him.
Right. And, yep, that rolls us out into the next episode.
The 7th Division.
Which, right now, in our cold opening, our guys are trying to find out, like, where the heck did Ritsu go? Like, what the heck's going on and everything. And,
plan of attack.
Yeah, so they're trying to figure out everything. I think they're collaborating with Reagan. I'm not sure. I couldn't remember.
No, he shows up later.
Yeah, he shows up later. The Esper people that Ritsu talked to.
Yes.
Were the kind of the tie-in into finding out about where Ritsu went, I believe. Because he was like, no, your brother does have powers for real, and like
it was the dude. It was the ringleader dude.
Yeah,
because he was like, also the other kids got snatched too, because they go to the community center for answers,
trash it.
and the place is trashed. the director dude is like knocked out on the floor, and so yeah, that's stage 1 info gathering. That's right.
Right, yeah. And then basically he gets told by that guy, like, there is other organizations out there that have more malicious means for psychic powers. And that's where we learn about the organization Claw, which is pretty much like Esper users are the pinnacle of society. Normies are way, way below. Yeah, so that kind of rolls us into that, and I can't remember how they figure out where that place was, their base of operations that they took Ritu to. I couldn't remember how they.
For Mob and
Was it Terror?
Taruki,
Yeah.
they just get in the cab.
Okay,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't think they explain how they
Not
knew.
very well if they glossed over it.
They're just like, and here we are.
Right.
But it fits the theme. You don't really worry about it when you're going through.
And so they roll up to the base of operations, and of course they're gonna get. All right, they see like it's guarded and everything. Didn't they get confronted by one of the supposed like bad people like from the get go though? When they drop, yeah, because they weren't like right there.
Yeah.
No, they got dropped off the road and had to hoof it there. Yes, yeah, and that's when they run into that one guy that has like a really like a pencil thin mustache, and his Esper power is the whip or whatever. I want to say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
One of the 7 top dogs or whatever.
Yeah, and I think
all
Terror
these
is
baddies are so forgettable.
Terror is like, yeah, so more so that Terror's like, you don't need to handle these small fry, I got it.
Yeah.
And Terror figures it out real quick and makes quick work of it. Because the guy is like, oh, these are just kids. Because based off of who they just captured,
Yeah.
the benchmark is pretty big. So he wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, apparently their psychic power organization, we find out, does not have a lot of competency.
Right.
They just have a lot of numbers.
Exactly. So he underestimates Teru, gets hogtied, and then interrogated.
Yep.
Mob is like, I don't want it. But Teru's like, we got it.
So yeah, that's how they figure out all the info to get in. So they sneak in.
And then Teru learns how to use that air whips though from that fight though, and that's how he takes out the guards real quick. And then Dimple hosts one of their bodies. He's like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention, if you're in shock, I can do this.
They're so much easier to possess when they're unconscious.
Yep. So they go and infiltrate the base. The arms get tripped off, of course, and
in the meantime, it bounces us over to Ritu's perspective.
Yep.
And him and all the other loser
cell.
psychics are in a cell. And one of the claw highbrows comes out like, we're going to get information out of you. I don't know what information they wanted him to be scared and join Claw.
Yeah.
They're like, join Claw or else.
Right.
And they, as a torture tactic, they take one of the twins away. Telekinesis twins.
Yeah.
Takes one of them away, and they're like, oh, we're gonna kill this kid.
Yeah.
And takes him to a different room, and everybody just hears a bunch of screaming. And then they throw like an unconscious looking body back in front of him. Everyone's like,
he's
scary.
dead.
I don't know. But lo and behold, Mr. Twin Magic was like, he's fine. He told me he is seeing like the same thing we're seeing right now. I was like, oh, okay, so everybody's good. And he is apparently that way. We don't know where that way is, but he's that way.
Right. Just has like a general idea. Like, keep in mind, these kids have baby powers still.
And so Ritu makes a plan to break out that utilizes everybody's abilities. Which
right.
That
like
was a joke.
the whole like flame and doing the thing. Yeah. No.
Yeah. But they get out of it, and they get a little distance, and they're stopped by an older Claw member. And the younger Claw members are like, no, you can't leave. We're going to stop you. We'll get accolades for doing a good job, blah, blah, blah. And Ritu's like, no, you're not. Get out the way. And old man tells the younger Claw members, he's like, let them go. They're naturals. They're going to mess you up. Like, if they don't want to be here, let them go. Because you want to know what's going to happen? In 40 years, you're going to be like me, janitor for a bunch of psychic nerds.
Right. And it's alive. He's basically just hunkering down
Yep.
till D-Day, I guess. I don't know.
Waiting for the pearly gates.
Yep.
So the crew escaped that, and as everybody's,
Ritsu uses his powers though, doesn't he? At
I
that
think
point?
so. He does it's quick flash in the pan, like nothing
Yeah.
extravagant, but yeah.
Well, I think that's was his first time actually being able to use it on his own and being able to make quick work of him. So yeah, they get out. Yeah.
And so on the other side of the field, we were taken to Mob and Taruki, and
Dimple.
they're just getting thrown boss after boss after
Or
boss.
after, yeah. And
First, we start with the Mohawk dude that took Ritsu.
God, yes.
And then we panned to Ritsu's team, and we panned back, and we see that his feet are just dangling from the ceiling. Mob's like,
oh, Mob just basically
I don't
just
have
took
time
him. And
for
he's
this.
like in the hallway, right? So they're just in a straight hallway. This place is like a labyrinth. Like Bob doesn't even waste time. He's just like, boom. It just not like a freaking bouncy ball, right? And then boom, right in the ceiling. He's like, I don't have time for this. Like, we need to go.
And every single boss fight, it goes that way. It's like, here's what's happening with Ritsu. Here's the big boss describing why the boss they're about to face is a problem. Mob destroyed him.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same three things, and it goes through all the hierarchy, and Mob's just like, nope.
Oh, but who was it? Which one was it? Was it Ritsu or was it Teru? Because one of them runs into that one kid while this is transpiring, and I can't remember.
Teru.
It was Teru. Teru's like, let me take this kid on. Because I remember the kid was the opposition, and he's like, oh, I'm going to handle this.
Yeah, one of the bosses looks like the same age as the rest of our heroes. He looks middle school. He's in like a big Letterman kind of jacket.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like really dyed red hair, and just,
Right. Oh, yeah, because
the
group decides to split to kind of look for Ritsu, I think, at this point. So Temple goes one way, Teru goes the other way, and then Mob's going his way to find Ritsu. And then Teru runs into that kid. We don't know what's going to happen. It just pans away like, oh, they're getting ready to fight, whatever. Because I remember before this, Teru faced that Pyro user boss.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Pretty intense though too at the same time, like how he basically just turned that against him. So our pyro user thought he could just heat up the whole room, make it a fiery inferno, and of course Teru being an Esper user, his backup's like, all right, I got to keep the barrier up, but it's getting harder to breathe in here because the fire's just killing all the oxygen. So Teru takes his barrier and just goes and just covers that guy and just burning himself alive.
Yeah,
that was pretty crispy.
Yeah, the Finnish mummy zombie burnt crispy dude was way too well detailed in my opinion.
Yeah.
I was like, the point received. I get what you were trying to convey, animators.
Right.
Holy heck.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. Dimple runs into the creepy ghost guy.
Yeah, Dimple meets a guy that is a evil spirit collector trainer.
Yeah, he's just really creepy too. And then Mobs run into what's the guy?
The eyeball dude.
Yeah. And they don't even show that fight, really. It was done.
That one ends up being a big deal because that's the one that gets Mob captured.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. No, you're thinking of the other
Indian
ones.
dude.
Yeah, the Indian dude, yeah. They don't even show that.
No, they just show his butt hanging out the wall.
Yeah, because he just got launched into there like our Mohawk guy did.
So yeah, then after that, we're brought back to the leader that was trying to intimidate Ritsu and the other members into joining Claw. And this dude looks wild. He's super tall. Is wearing like a purple cape with like
the shoulder pads.
Ridiculous shoulder pads. He honestly makes me think of a Madokin from Oddworld.
Yeah, really does.
And he's got like the super squint eyes and a dot on his forehead
or some kind of symbol or whatever.
Yeah. And so he is probably the most over the top looking dude aside from
he
the
tried to look like a villain, dude. Just
it's-
did it over the top.
And so he has some mental telepathy thing.
Yeah, where he can like make you, well, he was fishing for info, but he can kind of more or less make you do or think something. I want to say.
And so, and Mob, that was the only battle Mob had a fight, so to speak.
Because letting his emotions out is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Mob didn't want to go 100 at that point.
And as a result, he ends up short circuiting old tall, dark, and shoulder pads.
It's always hinted that Mob's Esper powers are a little bit different than everybody else's, and there's something deep down within him that he has no idea what the heck it is. So anybody trying to tap into that is going to get instantly bombarded with so much power. They're just like, blown away. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the dude short circuits, his brain gets fried, and he's like, and then also it fries Bob at the same time too, though, because of the link.
Yeah, he ends up passing out from the mental trauma of the experience that they were sharing.
And I think that's when our kiddo, the kid in the hat that was like a opposition, shows up and picks up Mob. Yeah, because he makes quick work of Tsuruki, I believe. Yeah.
And Taruki, Ritsu, and Mob wake up in a big room that nullifies their powers.
Yep.
And
it brings us into 11, Master Leader.
I'm pretty sure we end episode 10 with Reagan hopping out of a taxi and the same place that they got.
Because he's been trying to get a hold of Mob this whole time.
Yeah, he's been trying to get a hold of Mob the whole last episode, and so he basically used the "Where's my iPhone" thing with Mob and tracked him. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And so he goes out to get him. Right. And so we open up episode 11, Master Leader, and Reagan is talking to all the Claw members that are outside of the base.
Well, he gets confronted,
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And you want to go over that one? Because I thought that was a hoot and a half.
It was a hoot. So Reagan's just walking up all casually and everything, and obviously they're trying to like stop him, like, who the heck is this guy? And who do you think he is? One dude out of all of them, because he doesn't believe what everybody else is believing, because they know somebody special is supposed to show up, I want to say, in the next few days. It just isn't exact or something.
Right.
We'll touch on that later, because they actually did show up, but they're not who you think they are. Anyways, one of the guys tries to grab Reagan and try to stop him, like, hey, you're not supposed to go in there. This is a top secret organization, and blah, 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 blah. And Reagan's like, what do you think you're doing? I'm just here to
get my disciple.
Or, my subordinate.
Yes, I'm here to get my subordinate.
And then instantly the whole crowd's like,
oh, dude. He didn't say get. He said, I'm here to talk
to my subordinate. Yep. Yeah. And then everybody's like, oh, dude, that's the guy. And then that dude's like, this is the guy.
The boss. It's the boss. It's the boss. Boss.
So instantly Reagan just so ecstated.
He was like, I forgot my business card, but I need to go in there.
By all means, right this way, sir. He gets a VIP entrance into the organization.
So as they're guiding Reagan through the facility, they stumble across the lesser talented Esper kids. And so
they're going to capture them.
Yeah, all the Claw ones are like, we're going to catch them. And Reagan's like,
why?
What are you doing? That's kidnapping.
Right.
What are you doing?
That's bad.
Yeah,
he basically gives them a speech every time they try to do something. He's like, you shouldn't do that. Why are you doing that?
It's like, be better. Have better morals. Like,
right.
We don't kidnap people here.
Yeah, he's right. He's right.
and he wins all of them over Mr. 100 Speechcraft, but it's hilarious because like everything he is saying is like 100% the opposite juxtaposition of like what their organization does. So all the lackeys are just like flipping.
He's just breaking down their organization. Like this, like Reagan doesn't have Esper powers, but he has the power of persuasion.
Yeah. And spiritual powers.
Wink, spirit user.
Yeah. Spirit. Master's powers aren't psychic. They're spiritual. Stay in the back.
Right. Which they are. But yeah, so he gets that VIP entrance. I think the head of that base is like watching this. It's like, oh my god, these people are useless.
No, he hears through the comms.
Yeah.
They're like, the boss is here. And he's like, the boss is supposed to be out of the country. Why
Right.
is he here right now?
Right.
And so everyone's in panic, and it's like only the top boss of this facility is left, and then the little redhead punk. And the top boss dude is like
Tiny little
itty bitty
gas
mask permanently, just black blob.
Think of the bad boss from Metal Gear Solid. The Mantis. Mantis is who I'm thinking of. Yeah, that tricky guy.
Yeah.
Had the gas mask. But yeah, but very, very tiny, frail looking thing. I almost thought it was I forgot it wasn't a chick.
Yeah, it sounds like just a little tiny chick. You got like
Yeah.
a Tatsumaki thing going on.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. But yeah, so that's the only guy left, right? And
so he hears through the grapevine, he's like, I gotta go meet the boss. And in the meantime, Reagan's like, I need to meet my subordinates, and they lead him all the way through the facility.
yeah, they're going to the same place essentially. Yeah.
And so Reagan gets there, opens up the doors, asks Mob and Ritsu, what are you guys doing here? Like, come on, time to go home.
Right. And then obviously the leader's like, that's not the boss.
Like, you're not the boss, who are you?
And Reagan's like, who are you?
I'm Reagan Arataka, world's greatest psychic.
Basically selling himself again at this point too.
Every opportunity is a pitch. There's no bad publicity.
And then they have like a back and forth, like speech wise too, about like the morals and everything that's going on here and everything, because he still has the group and everything.
Right, yeah. So little girly leader Gas Mask is like, oh, do thing A, and Reagan's like, no, be an adult. That's something kids do. Like, grow up.
Right.
But no, I have psychic powers, so the world is for me. No, you're dumb. No,
that's not how it works.
And all the lackeys are like on Reagan's side. Reagan's like, lackeys, go home. Forget about this. They all go home.
Yep.
And all that's left is like the top 3 or 4 of the top brass, which all their powers were a joke. We had the man leader, who we hadn't seen his power yet.
Yeah.
We had the number 2 guy, who has a plastic sword that he cursed so much it now has the same strength as a real katana.
Sword. Yeah. And
Then we had the demon user.
Mm-hmm. The bad spirit guy.
Yeah, the bad spirit guy, who at the end of the fight with Dimple, he ends up trapping him in a jar.
Yeah.
And is like, whoever is the last spirit standing, whoever eats everybody else will be the strongest spirit and my new pet. And we see like all these big monsters and little tiny Dimple, like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
So we got those 3 and eyeball guy.
Yeah.
Big purple eyebrow guy. Oh, Reagan and eyebrow.
Yeah, dude, he goes off.
Oh my god, yeah, he does. So they're all meeting, and an impasse has been met. Mm-hmm. We can't move forward.
Right.
And so the kids with powers are like, Reagan, get back. We're going to protect you, because the adults start attacking them.
Right.
They're like, you can't destroy our organization. We with psychic powers should rule the world, and those without are just peons. This world is built for us, us, us.
And then Reagan's like, really? You guys, you over there, small as heck, wearing a gas mask. What the heck are you? He just rips into all of them. You got a toy sword, but are dressed like a businessman. What is your deal?
And Taruki and Ritsu start getting in a tussle with the other bosses while there's a verbal discussion. And we end the episode with the cliffhanger of the dude with the sword attacks Reagan. Yeah. Because Reagan... Mob is getting pressured from both of his peers, Teru and Ritsu.
Yeah, because they're like,
you need to fight. If you don't use your powers...
And Reagan's like, don't do it.
Reagan's like, you don't have to. These are adults. You're a kid. I'm an adult. Let me handle this. Because Reagan has always been there for Mob. Questionable as he has always been there 100% for Mob.
Right.
And so Mob's about to lose it and ignore the golden rule of don't use your powers on people. And Reagan slaps his face. He's like, no, let me handle it.
Use it.
Yeah. And we end the episode with the slash and Reagan falls with the big slash.
Right.
Man, talk about a gut punch while it was simulcasting. I was like,
no.
11 episodes in, it has been all fun and laughs, and that's what you're going to do to me?
Right.
So, Clint, pick us up with episode 12.
So we're going to episode 12, Mob and Reagan. A giant Tsuchinoko appears. And so, picking off where we left in the last fight, we get the, Reagan's down, obviously. So we think.
Yep, Mob's having a crisis. And then, poof, Reagan pops back
He's like, whoa, that didn't hurt at all.
I guess that really is a toy sword.
And that dude's like, why I just made contact.
And he runs up to try to hit him again, and Reagan grabs the sword barehanded. It's like, oh, it is a toy. Breaks it into a million pieces. There's one boss down.
Right, there's one boss down. Gets big quick work of it. So up next is the
shoulder pads
guy.
Mm-hmm. And shoulder pads, he just verbally abuses till he's lost all spirit.
Like, what are those?
Like, what are those on your shoulders? He's
those
like,
aren't even practical, dude.
It's like, they're to protect my shoulders? Nah, man, those are just shoulder pads. They ain't even practical. They gaudy as all heck.
Yeah.
And what's that on your head? It's for focusing. That's decorative, isn't it? You drew that on there.
I mean, he was just getting
roasted. Roasted him. Char-boiled, extra crispy.
That was like my favorite show, like butt whooping the whole show. To be honest with you, like that is like.
Yeah, Reagan goes
put
on
that in a rap.
Verbal tirade with that, because shoulder pads does his ability where he goes like spreads himself out, and there looks like there's a whole ton of him.
Yes.
And this is the point where we start to realize that the moment that Reagan slapped Mob's face and was like, "Leave it to me,"
and Mob was at 100 at that point, but the motion changed at that split second when the 100 came out. And it transferred to Reagan because that emotion was like a trust or some kind
Leave
of thing.
It to Master.
Yeah.
And so all his powers channeled into Reagan, and Reagan's like, "What are you doing? I see you. You're right here." And then he goes on the verbal tirade. Yeah.
And then just roasts him while he's like down, dude.
And the only one left ends up being the boss, Mr. Gas Mask, who has gravity powers.
And then tries to use them on Reagan.
And he's like, "Everyone I've thrown these gravity balls at, they get obliterated. No one has survived it." And Reagan's just like, slapping it aside like flies on summer.
Yeah. Quickly, the main dude loses his crap. It's like, all right.
It takes off his mask, and it's like the crotched, crepity old dude.
Dude, they just
get more
teeth. Creepier and creepier, I feel.
That's
not what. Just should have put just Tatsumaki in there, please. God, that was like
right. I liked the illusion better than what I got.
Yeah, kind of put it back on. But yeah, no, like basically loses all crap because just like how Terror was.
It's like the theme of the whole story.
Yeah, it's like psychic powers. I'm above everybody else. Nobody's better than me. And then Reagan is channeling what Mob was preaching to Teru and all the other Espers.
Right, because that's where Mob got it from. Reagan taught him from day one. He's like, psychic
just because
powers
you don't have powers doesn't mean you're better than everybody else. There's people that are good at, like, other stuff in life.
Right. Some people can talk well. Some people are good at sports. Some people can run and make you laugh and play music. This is just another attribute. This does not make you any better or any worse than anyone else.
Right, and then Mob's like, oh, yeah. That makes
and he had that instilled into him because him and Reagan meet when Mob's like 5. Like he's like an elementary schooler.
Right.
Stumbling upon him, which I'll let you get that. We'll save that side story for you. It's pretty adorable, Mob and Reagan's first meeting.
Reagan. Like, I think when they first met, that whole exchange, what was Mob doing at the time? I think he was on his way.
Yeah, he just knocked on the door. He's like, "Hey, I saw you were a psychic. I was hoping you'd help."
Yeah, because he didn't know anybody else with powers and everything. And then I think that's Reagan was like trying to figure out, like,
yeah, he thought Mob was full of
crap. Like, he's like, no way.
But Mob shows the powers.
Yeah, he's like takes the whatever
mochi.
The mochi from him. And he's like, yeah, because he was about to drop it. He's like, here you go.
Yep, because it's too hot.
Right.
But
And spins it around and everything. He's just like, I kind of just want to use my powers for good things. I guess is what he was trying to pitch to Reagan, and Reagan was like trying to figure out like what
like,
what could we do?
right, you'll be an exorcist.
I want to say he met Reagan sometime. Now this is speculation. I don't remember.
It's not very clear with dates.
I think this is sometime after the whole spiel with what happened with his younger brother when he got beat up by the other kids, and then Mob used his powers, unfortunately hurt some people. And I think that he stopped using his powers, and it wasn't until that day he talked to Reagan and he got the confidence to kind of use them again.
I think that's a pretty easy connection to make for sure. I could definitely see that.
I feel like it goes that way. But yeah, so we get that whole thing of him, going through.
He's like, old man, you need to quit being a baby about it. Like, you're acting like a middle schooler.
Yeah,
like the
Teru.
the kids that are with me are more adult than you are. Like, grow the F up.
And then that hits that dude like a ton of bricks. It's like, I won't have it.
And they have one final head to head, and it just ends with the whole place being leveled.
And there's
Reagan takes everybody home.
Yep, he kept everybody alive.
And we wrap out season 1 with a redhead kid calling boss dad, saying, "Hey, this division was a joke. It's been closed down."
Like his father's like, "Closed down? I told you to investigate it." He's like, "They were chumps, Dad. Like, don't worry about it."
It wasn't me, but
he did
outside influences.
He's like, there is a kid though.
Yeah.
That we should watch.
And then we get a cute little exit of Mob and Reagan going hunting for Tsuchinoko, which, if you don't know, is a
beetle?
And it's an unidentified monster, like a unicorn or a Bigfoot, that kind of thing. Like
that's right. Cryptid. Yes.
Yeah, cryptid. There we go.
That's right.
And it's a snake with a big fat body and a little tail.
That's right.
Dunsparce.
Sparse, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And so they go and they catch Tsuchinoko, and that takes us out.
Yeah.
So, Mob Psycho 100.
Yeah.
It just, every episode will make you laugh. There's something funny each time. I've been through season 1 like 3 or 4 times now, and I still giggle every time I see Potato Girl or see the buff dudes for the first time. Like, hoo, ha, hoo.
Honestly, the way it's just... That's just the calling card of the animator. He always makes like those one characters like you look at and you can't help but laugh, and you're just like, that's not right. God dang.
Well, and he'll like they'll bounce animation style so much to deliver a punchline. Like the end credits, if you stick through the end, you always get Reagan doing like a 60-second radio
they
announcer.
sell the show.
And he's like, "Hey, you should buy the Blu-ray. You should buy the DVD.
You should buy the Blu-ray."
And there'll be like at the very end there'll be like a 1-sentence hint about next week, but it's just like Reagan doing sales ads all the way till I think it's episode 11, and then that's how they cement the cliffhanger is they have Mob do the outro that episode.
Oh no. And he's so awkward. Yeah, you should totally, Okay.
So I'd say not too serious, but for me it is a personal fitness inspo. Mob is my fitness idol. If that
makes a lot of sense.
If that little kid can make it happen, I'm gonna make it happen
for sure.
And I can never look any worse than Mob looked on his first run. So I've done put that one behind me.
I just like how the Rogue got the spot, or his boss, his master, got the spotlight at the end, because he was built up as this super powerful person, and then he
he got
as the super powerful person.
Yep, he remained in Mob's eyes the most.
What I tell you, my master can do it. I told you.
I told you he's my master. I follow him for a reason. All right, with that, I think we'll wrap it up.
Totally.
We're going to change pace next week. We will not be coming back with season 2. We're going to step away and try out Golden Kamuy. It is a adventure anime set in 1940s-ish Japan.
Yeah, because they're having that standoff with the Japan-Russian War. Yes, yes, yes. It was early 1900s, so like this was like the whole First World War that was going on, I believe. Everybody had
Give
their
or
own little conflict going on, I
yeah,
believe.
give or take that time. So I am
Yeah.
excited for this adventure. Kind of a different trope from the normal shonen thing. So
Think Prison Break. Keep that in mind.
heyo. But with that, we're getting out of here. This is
Yep.
Brotaku Retrospective. We went over Mob Psycho 100 this week. I'm Eddie Friels.
I'm Clint Osborne.
We'll see you next time.